I'm Laura Pullen. I work as GIS manager at Nottingham City Council. So this morning I wanted to talk to you about our 3D city model and specifically our digital twin to support planning decisions. So I'm going to cover why we've chosen a GIS approach and how this approach has aided a more effective and efficient planning service. And I'll share with you our current capabilities and also where we're looking to for the future. So the demand to see and analyse our towns and cities in a 3D environment is increasing, and we chose GIS to create our city-scale digital twin, mainly because it's well recognised for 2D modelling of the real world, and so the transition to a 3D world is just felt natural. We took this approach so we can maximise our investment in GIS. So rather than investing in bespoke software for each application need and creating kind of data and process silos, we can make the best use of our existing data holdings as well, which are extensive, as well as being able to pull on a wealth of data from other different sources. We also felt it is the perfect platform for kind of identifying key features and analysing various spatial and data and relationships. And I guess most importantly, it's really scalable. So whilst today I am going to focus on how we've utilised our city model within a planning environment, I recognise that there are many and increasing application areas where the 3D digital twin of our city would enhance our understanding. So using this GIS platform means that we have an approach that can be scaled across all of these different application areas. So if I look specifically at our planning example that I'm going to share with you today, as many of you will probably know, there's been a big push in the UK to digitise planning process. There was a government white paper in 2020 and subsequent guidance and legislation that have and will continue to push for a digital transformation of the planning system. So because of the successful deployment of our operational 3D digital twin for major development assessments, which I'm going to show you in a minute, the Department for Levelling Up are funding further expansion of our use of 3D to drive engagement with the planning process. Our DLUC project focuses on GIS being the bedrock of our city digital twin, as this is a universal approach, and 60% of local planning authorities are sat on the same GIS technology as us. And obviously further local planning authorities will have alternative GIS provision. So what we're hoping to do is kind of produce a blueprint that will enable other local authorities to establish a similar capability to ours. So let me share with you what we've actually achieved so far. One of the biggest areas of demand for a 3D city model was from our planning area, and specifically where major developments and urban design teams were involved. So to support the conversation around a major new development proposal, our planners request that a 3D model is submitted to them, and this is then integrated into our 3D environment and assessed. So in terms of the individual merits of that proposal and how it fits in with the evolving landscape of developments across the city. So on screen in a moment, I'll share a short video to showcase our operational 3D assessment tool. It's a web-based tool, and some of the functionality within it is standard and other elements are configured to meet our specific needs. The solution is used by planners to mainly undertake a morphology assessment of a new development. So does it fit in with the environment around it? And what's its impact? Is it acceptable in terms of its physical form? Our city model includes like a detailed surface model at our city centre, where the majority of our major developments are taking place. So this is referred to as a LOD 3 or a level of detail 3 and is manually created and commercially procured. We integrate the developer models into the application and add some basic information and links to our planning portal to get information about the proposal. We'll create bookmarks to showcase street level and strategic views of the proposal in question, which makes it super easy to navigate around the 3D model. And we also have a number of planning assessment tools. So this will include things like shadow analysis, line of sight, measurements. Additionally, because this is built within this GIS environment that I'm talking about, it opens up access to many different spatial data layers. So on screen, you'll see examples of the data that the planner can have access to, be it from internal or external sources. They can undertake a constraints check. They can understand, do accessibility analysis, understand the infrastructure and amenities nearby. Anything that can be captured within a GIS environment can be shared within this platform. We also include a photo mesh model to provide additional context, which more visually represents the city. And this is particularly helpful, I think, for those not used to interpreting 3D models. For example, when schemes go through to planning committee for decision, or when we want to undertake wider consultation. The planners can also see a timeline of all the different developments occurring across the city, and this same information can be pushed into public applications so we can share our development plan more widely with our residents. So I've shared on screen now with you some of the comments from our planners and our urban designers. Essentially, the crux of it is that 3D modelling is now embedded and fundamental part of their assessment of major applications going on within the city. Things like speed of decision making, confidence that a scheme will actually look and fit into the surrounding environment, scheme quality improvements, and undertaking kind of options appraisals are all positives that were raised by our planners of this new digital twin that they can utilise. So by choosing an interoperable GIS-based approach, our aspirations for our DLUC project are to engage stakeholders in a number of different ways, pushing our city model and digital planning information into lots of different platforms for consumption. This includes a physical model with projections, a digital public hub, and also the use of augmented and virtual reality. So perhaps we'll be able to come back and share some of this work with you next year as it develops. I guess now, whilst we have deployed a successful planning assessment tool and we have further ambitions, creating and maintaining a 3D city-scale digital twin is not without its challenges. There are technical challenges around optimization for particular business uses. There are challenges in identifying the right skills and expertise to leverage the data and technology. A challenge that we have and continue to focus on is the challenge of having ready access to data which is of suitable quality and standards, timeliness and affordability. Given the value 3D offers to underpin a city digital twin, we really feel that there should be national provision for the public sector, as there is with 2D data, so we can concentrate our efforts on utilising the data to the best of our ability and solve problems and improve processes within our business areas of interest. So as such, proving the business value to drive investment in 3D and digital twins is also a challenge that needs addressing. As part of our DLUC project, we've actually embarked on a return on investment study to prove the value for the planning process, which hopefully will help ourselves, our partners and DLUC to showcase the value and provide justification for investing in a city-scale digital twin. So we are embracing all of these challenges and working closely with a number of partners and stakeholders to ensure that our approach is fit for purpose and that we can meet the expectation that we've set ourselves around creating a blueprint for other local planning authorities. We absolutely love working in this space. There's so much energy and I'm really, really excited to see where this takes us. So thanks for inviting me this morning to share our experiences so far. And if anyone wants to get in touch, please do.
So Laura, our first question to you is the data from your digital twin available for public use to service providers or used by other local authorities?
The data within the digital twin, it varies, I guess. So the actual underlying 3D data, whilst available to the public for viewing, isn't actually available for utilisation. But many of our GIS spatial data sets are available. So by standard, all of our local plan data sets, our planning applications, etc., are published as open data. So where we can, and it's not being commercially procured, we will always open up our data.
Laura, next question is for yourself, please. Does the digital twin include environmental impacts?
In terms of our current use case, a lot of the assessment is around whether the physical form fits in into the environment, but the environmental impacts are being undertaken. Where our trees are, flooding analysis. So a lot of that is being undertaken perhaps in separate software and solutions at the moment, but we are very much of the aspiration that these to come together, because a lot of the stakeholders will be concerned with the environmental impacts of development. One of the very small examples we've used recently is where we are actually doing a tree planting scheme across the city centre and understanding actually what we should plant where, given the shadows and the building structures and so forth. So I think there's plenty of examples that will come to fruition in the coming months.
Brilliant. And another question for yourself, which I think you've already touched on in your previous answer, but just to ask anyway, is can you please comment about the data sources you've used to develop your digital twin? It seems both proprietary and open data has been used.
Yes, that's right. The data sources are a variety. So very much for the base models, they have been commercially procured. So our photo mesh and our building models are procured. We are looking at sort of producing a less detailed 3D model from perhaps open data sources. That's something we're currently trying to evaluate the possibility from. Much of the other data, though, the contextual data that I discussed within the model, will be open data, perhaps either data that we are managing ourselves as the local authority, much of it is that, but also ones that we are getting from wider stakeholders like Historic England or the Environment Agency.